Hello from the yarn closet in southern Arizona. I'm gonna swap a little bit here and move my stuff. There, that's a little better with the light and everything. I'm going to post on the community tab. I'm gonna get a haircut this Wednesday or Thursday, maybe. Because there's the cut that I want, and then there's the old lady cut I'm afraid I'm going to get, because I'm not good at styling. I want to get something that the shape is not quite like this. So it's going to be a little bit more layered around the front, which honestly scares me because when I get it layered around the front, it feels thin and I don't think it's as attractive. Like the layers have to be chunkier. So I'm taking my daughter with me. If I have a conversation with the stylist, who is my cousin, yes, she's much younger than I am, by like, oh my stinking God, like 30 years. Do you see our little podcasting friend? Rocky is hanging out with me this morning. There's a baby. Are you making some biscuits? A little bit? Okay. Yeah, I'm nervous that it's going to be too light because people try to do this face framing thing and it gets too light and then it feels like my hair is thinning. My hair is thinning. It's one of the reasons why I like this. But although this length is okay, and I really like this length, when it gets to my shoulders, it feels like it just pulls my head down too much. And I do like this right now because I can pull it back and do a little thing like here. But you know, and this is actually part of what I like is, look at that. See that? It's actually gray. And see it over here? It's not just blonde and light. This is actually gray. See that? That is gray, people. That is gray. Yes, ma'am. I have earned every second of that. I'm going to be happy when I have a big chunk that looks more gray. Because here's the thing. Most redheads, especially strawberry blondes, which I've been accused of being much of my life, although when I was little, it was very orange. They don't gray. The color just kind of seeps out of their hair. And so that's been kind of what I've been worried about. But I'm starting to see these little chunks that are pretty obviously gray. And I mean, for me to see it, I'm legally blind. That's a feat. That's a feat of lighting and just the right movement. So if it actually comes in where I get chunks that are gray, I'm going to be so happy because I've always liked those women with dark hair who started to naturally, where their highlights were, get just these chunks of gray. I've always thought, I've earned that. I have stinking earned that. And, so last week at school, there was an 8th grade class, a special needs class, that was reading a book about guide dogs and blind people and canes and mobility and stuff. So she asked me to come and speak. So I spoke for about 20 minutes, whatever. And it's a little challenging because you get a lot of interruption. There's not a lot of staying on task. But I really enjoyed being able to do it. And then we talked a little bit about being disabled and what that means in the world. and how, and I was able to say, because I'm not a teacher, I was able to say, you know, here's the thing. You get accommodation in school, as you should. You may get accommodation in your job. But day to day going out in your real life, unless you're constantly coordinating for accommodation, you're not going to get it. You have to accommodate to the real world. Yes, I can coordinate with the grocery store before I go that I need somebody to walk around with me, and they will provide me with someone. But if my driver is scheduled for 9 a.m. on Tuesday and that person calls in sick, then I may be pushed back to 11 a.m. or 2 p.m. or whatever when I don't have a driver. People don't understand, who don't have to deal with this, just how not accommodating accommodation can be. I had a friend, she was trying to go back to college, and she was supposed to have someone that was helping her read through tests and things and in test taking, and it was a crapshoot whether or not it actually happened. And there wasn't anything she could do about it, because they actually had a couple of people in positions that part of their job description was this accommodation role. So it didn't matter. They employed the people. It didn't matter if they were actually able to do the job. So if they were gone, even though she'd given them her syllabus and they knew when she had tests and when the people had to be there for her, if the people whose job title it was weren't there, she didn't get somebody. And she couldn't bring in her own person from the outside. So accommodation is far more tricky than the average person understands. And accommodation for someone who's growing up being more of a high needs autistic person, per se, as an example, it can be a case-by-case basis. And so it is what it is. This cat is one of the nicest cats that I have. I have 5 cats. They're all lovely. I have 5 cats and 2 dogs. But he will just hang out. I think he would be actually very good as an only cat. But he does have Long Socks. Long Socks is his brother. And yeah, he's a lovely cat. More than anybody else, he will calmly hang out here with me. I can tell that something is hitting. Yeah, so it's just starting to and when it gets long enough to start like laying on my shoulders, then it's a little too just heavy, and I feel like it just pulls my face down. So this could be an absolute nightmare on Thursday when I get the haircut. Or if she's not real convincing, then I'm gonna have her cut some long layers of my daughter's hair instead and call it a day. And I'll just grow it out some more before we do anything. But she's young and she's pretty decent. She knows all the new techniques. And I'm not feeling great. There's this sinus cold thing going around, and I'm like getting waves of headache and waves of like, is it hot or am I having a temperature? Next week we have a short day, Wednesday, and after that I have to go do my ALICE training, my emergency training with the staff, as like staff people. They've put it off for almost 1.5 years because they're afraid of blind lady with a cane. Like, what's that going to be like? It's going to be like nothing. It's training. There's going to be other people. I'll be fine. I can do the training in class with the kids, and I know where to take them, and I know all the procedures. It's like not a big deal. People always assume things are a bigger deal when you've got a handicap than they actually are. And one of the things we talked about in that class with the kids was how socially isolating disability and handicap can be. I don't care if it's ADHD, Asperger's, I don't care what it is, dyslexia. You can't read a menu when you're out in public. You can't read the bathroom signs, whatever. It's socially isolating. And so I gave them some of my tips and tricks of how I manage. And, you know, I don't know that it really registers, but it's okay. It's something. And I think it's exposure. The fact that I am a disabled person and I am a mom and I do this, they see me do a job every day. They don't realize I'm not paid. So that's good for them, I think. Very good for them. And it's good for me to feel useful and to feel purposeful, even in my lack, because that's how we address disability in this country. It's lack. I am lacking something. I am missing something. And that's a hard thing to go through. And it's a hard thing to go through because we all want to feel valued in this life. And when there's so many instances in your life where people undervalue you constantly and dismiss you, it's absolutely breaking. But you know what I did do this week? I gave that blanket to my daughter's teacher and she loved it and was tickled. She's having a bit of a rough year. And I finished the hat I started. I have not seen this on myself yet. Oh, good, it is big enough. I'm always worried. So I can fold over the brim and get some extra thick over my ears. See, and this is like, okay, now it's not. But this is semi-cute when it's long like this. And it's big enough, but it's also, you know, droopy. It can be droopy. So I'm going to see if I've got more yarn like this size. I think I'm going to make some hats this year. Hats are always fast and easy. The hardest thing is that if I get interrupted too much, then the crown doesn't turn out as well as I'd like. But this crown, look at this crown. This is some gorgeous spiral decreases. That is a gorgeous crown. And when I knit the two together, I always knit it through the back loop, and it gives that little bit of ridge, which I like, because it enhances. It's probably because I can feel it, and it's because of my eyesight. It enhances it. But I was concerned this color is a little droopy, but see, and now my hair looks kind of okay like this. And I think, don't touch it, don't touch it. But I'm not letting fear rule my life, and if I have to deal with a haircut that makes me unhappy, well, so be it. It won't be the first time. At least it won't be a bang experience, because we're not doing that. I'm going to be 54 years old in a few weeks. We're not doing that anymore. And then I started matching fingerless gloves because I've got enough yarn to do it. And I'm not going to put a thumb on them. I'm just going to give the opening so that, because when you have just the opening, you can still wear it more easily as a cuff. And I do like to have a good little cuff. And I very rarely decrease enough that this part is form-fitting. What I will do is, this rib is knit with the same needle that knits this. So it was a 4.5. And then I decreased to a 4 to do this ribbing. So this ribbing will be a little bit tighter. And that's how I do it. And this is just the easiest stinking way. So you pick a row, you bind off, you go through, and on the next row, you make some new stitches. Then on the next row, you knit them. And you get yourself a nice little, it's basically a buttonhole. But it's also a very finished hole. This is a little bit bigger than it needs to be. I miscounted as I was doing it because I was interrupted. But here's the thing, I don't care. I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna keep going. This is for me. And I'm supposed to be going on this trip in October. In the last 19 years, I've gone on one trip for 2 nights without the family, without the children. Because, you know, going on vacations as a mom is not a vacation. It's just not. No husband has ever helped so that I could eat a hot meal. No husband has ever taken the overwrought child in so that they could have some downtime or take a nap. It's never been, I've never gotten the vacation. And there's been a limited number of those. And there's been far more complaining about them ahead of time and throughout that just takes the absolute fun out of it for me. So when I had this opportunity, I'm like, this is a long trip. It's like 4 nights. Like, that's pushing it. But they're all old enough, they should be able to do it. So I've been trying in the mornings as I do my walk. If my husband comes out and wakes himself up, which is very rare, and I can smell that he's smoking, I will let the dogs off so that they have to run up to the back porch, and he then lets them in. If he's not ready to go in that moment, he will not get up and go open the door so they can go in. So then Mitzi, the littlest one, runs off. She doesn't like him. She doesn't like men. But you can't say to me, it'll be fine, I can do it, and then not do it. Because I am on the verge of canceling my trip because I don't think that they can handle it. And I really don't want to come back to my dog is gone. And if she gets lost in the desert, we are in the effing desert, people, she will be dead. She will be eaten by a coyote or mauled by a javelina. That's it. She'll be done. Or she'll just die of exposure. They just rescued a couple of dogs that they found near us by the Mescal movie site. That's where a lot of Westerns are filmed, right down the road from me. My husband was in a number of them as a teenager. As an extra, The Young and the Dead, The Young Boys? Was it The Young Boys? There's a couple of other ones. Anyway. But now I'm thinking, can I even go? Because they can't handle it. It just annoys me. And I can't just say, when I do this, please do that. Well, you don't have to treat me like a child. Yes, I do. If you're not doing the action, then I do have to mention it to you and bring it up, and we have, you know. Life is tough. Life is tough. This is where I am at in my next. This is the middle of my next blanket, the big one. So I've got one more spot for a green. So I'll get that attached today. And then I've got oranges and purples going off the greens. And then in the final row, it's going to be the burgundy red, orange, and white. So the mojo's coming back a little bit. I don't know why, but like I was telling them in this talk I had this week, knitting and crocheting is one of my tools to manage the social isolation of disability. Because I can't always tell if you're engaged with me or trying to catch my eye or whatever, or there are times I'm having a conversation with someone, and if the lighting is poor enough, if they're quiet enough, they just get up and walk away and I don't realize it. It's obnoxious. Or like the other day, I was talking to a lady in line to get our IDs to be on campus, and I didn't realize that it was a woman I actually knew. I didn't recognize her. Because when you're taken out of the instance where I always know you, my brain doesn't go in to tell me necessarily who you are. Unless there's something really striking about your appearance. I'm not. It's not gonna happen. And, oh, it's over there. I'll move that. So I am working at this and making some progress, and I'm gonna finish those fingerless gloves in the next week or two, and then I hopefully will start a couple more hats. If I do end up going on this trip, it would be nice if I had some cute little hats to give the other ladies. I've kind of stalled out on my sock making. I never get it quite right. I'm just over it. I'm over making the things that I never get quite right, which also means sweaters. Sweaters might be a thing of the past. I never get them quite right. Unless I move to an environment where I can actually wear them and knit them as bigger and bulkier, I don't know that it's gonna happen anymore. I may just be doing my crochet blankets and hats and fingerless gloves, and that's that. Because it's a hobby that's supposed to make me happy, and putting in hours on end of stuff and then not having the outcome that I want, I mean, that feels as fruitless as many a thing in my life. And I don't need more of that. I don't think any of us do. I am doing quite well on the antidepressants and the HRT. I absolutely recommend anyone in perimenopause, menopause. I was 8 years post hysterectomy. I can't believe how effective it's been. And also, my constant lip wrinkles, yes, it's still there, but you don't constantly see them. Like, I feel like my skin has improved quite a bit. Not just my muscle mass, heart health, and bone density, but I feel like there's been some other benefits as well. And that has just made me shockingly happy. My hair feels less coarse. Like there's less, and it's up here, so it's the new growth. There's less fuzz. This still feels drier. Maybe it's all in my head. I don't know. I feel like my mood has improved dramatically. And so I'm really, really hoping that I can start getting prescribed it by a doctor in my system so that it's not so much out of pocket. But here's the thing, even if it is, I might just stay on it because at some point, we've got to recognize that self-care isn't wine. Self-care isn't a chocolate spurge. Self-care can be all of those things, but it really isn't. It can be. And I absolutely am not going to have lunch today, and I'm going to have Haagen-Dazs ice cream bar instead with a lovely cup of coffee with cream and some extra nuts. And those will be my lunch calories, and I'm going to enjoy it because I am on a calorie restriction diet right now to get off some of this weight that I ramped up last year. I am feeling more muscle tone. And I know that the weight isn't just the number. And I've already lost 6 pounds in the last 6 weeks. So I don't know that I have to get down to the number I originally had in mind because all of a sudden my pants are fitting better and stuff. I just want to get down to a number and a place where my clothes fit me well enough that I feel like I've got a little fluctuation because I've always been a 3 to 5 pound fluctuator. I've always been a fluctuator. So that's my goal. I'm going to get down to a certain point, and it's not going to be the number I had in mind. It's going to be a higher number, and that's fine because I just want to get down to a comfortable, where my clothes fit me comfortably again. And then I'm using an app, Chronometer. And so I have it set to lose 1.5 pounds a week, which seems dramatic. I had it set at 1. But then I thought, wait, this is an app and it's sort of like a game. So if I set it at 1.5, and instead of having leftover calories at the end of the day, I'm 100 calories over or 200 calories over, I know I'm still on target to lose that pound a week. And I still want to be able to eat enough to not have headaches, to eat enough to not be cranky. And so that's my thing. So what I'm going to do once I get to that place is I'm going to switch it on the app from 1.5 to 1. I'm going to stay there for a few more weeks, and then I'll go down to like half a pound, stay there for a few more weeks. So I'm gradually upping my calorie intake. And once I get to a place where I feel like, oh, this calorie intake for these last few weeks has been perfect. I've been eating enough. Because I do feel a little bit hungry. Sometimes at the end of the day, sometimes in the morning. It depends on like when my last meal is. And I'm really not snacking in between meals. So I want to get back to a place where my calorie count is making me feel comfortable enough and yet I know from the chronometer that I'm probably not going to just start bulking up again. Because what I'm trying to do is teach myself how to eat in a way that in my postmenopausal body, I can maintain. And that's really my goal. So I shoot for more protein than the app recommends and more fats. And that's my plan. So I'm hoping by the end of this school year, I will be to a place where where maybe I don't have to use the app anymore. Maybe I'll just understand. But I've also come to the realization the serving sizes of my childhood are not the same today in the foods we eat today. They are so much more processed that the serving sizes have changed dramatically. So maybe I'll always use the app to some extent, and I'm getting okay with that. I'm coming to terms with that. Because it's a tool to use to stay in a good place. Just like I have to walk every day. I may not have to walk 3 miles every day. I knew a lady in her 60s who walked 4 to 5 miles every day. And I'm like, doesn't that get old? I mean, my husband thinks I love walking. I don't love walking. We're in fucking Arizona. It's hot. I don't like it here. I don't live here because I want to live here. I live here out of necessity. I'm a blind woman that went through a divorce with a toddler. This was where the only people who were willing to help me lived. The family that I had in Minnesota said, no, we're not going to help you. Don't move here. You cannot count on us. Direct quote, I will not be responsible for you if you move here. So glad I moved there for you and helped you with your children, but now you will not with me and mine. And so I didn't really have a choice but to move here. There are places we could live in Arizona that have more 4 seasons. And maybe when I'm old, maybe I will. I don't know. But there comes a point where you don't want to leave your children, especially if you want to be involved and help them. And I feel like my young children are going to need my help. So it'll be a dance of, do they need my physical help of watching their kids because they can't afford daycare, or are they going to need my financial help? And will I be able to give that financial help if I'm living somewhere else? I often talk about my old age as me being alone because my husband has a genetic disease that most people don't live past 60. If he were to do the drug interventions, yes, he could potentially live past 60 and live more of a normal age, but he doesn't want to do that. So I know that the chance of me being alone by the time I'm 65 is like 99.5% chance of that. So that's why I talk about my old age alone. Somebody has messaged me about that. And you maybe don't realize that because I don't talk a lot about his diagnosis. I talked about it a couple times early on in the podcast, but that was years ago, like 8 years ago. And my parents are all 87, 78, going to be 79. He's going to be 88 and 79 and 77 this year. And the 79-year-old is probably in the best health of all of them. But she's more blind than I am. So there could be a number of people that go easily in the next 10 years. I could easily be all by myself with my 2 children. Yes, I have 3 because I have an older stepson, but he's not very involved in our life. And I don't imagine he'll be at all after his dad goes. Relationships are much harder than we're led to believe when we're children, because our relationships when we're children are proximity based. It's the kids you go to school with, it's the neighbor kids you live by, it's the cousins you see on a regular basis. And once you become an adult, your relationships will, like my relationship with my parents would not be the same had I not moved back here. It'd be far more distant and far more nothing. The relationships as an adult are with the people you make the effort with. And proximity helps. I said proximity is 95% of it. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But the recognition needs to be there that if you do move from one city to another or from one side of town to another, that is going to affect your relationships. Being a person who has children when your friends don't have children will draw you out of that friend circle. And the friends you have from work, if you change jobs, they're going to slip away. Like, it is hard to explain this to children and get them to really kind of get it. But I am lucky today because I have some ladies at school that because we're together 10 months out of the year, I really feel kinship and a friendship. There's one woman in particular who really makes an effort with me, and I love her to death. And I've got a friend of almost 25 years who lives a couple of hours away from me, and she's really ramped things up in our friendship, and I appreciate that. And so I think we all need to remember, go that extra step with your friends. Just do it. It's not that hard. It's called a text. Just do it. Have your phone remind you to text them a couple times a week. Just do it. You know? And make yourself feel vulnerable. Send those funny videos that you see. We all binge when we shouldn't. Share. Just share. It gives people an insight into what you find funny. And hopefully that'll bring you closer. So enjoy your hobbies. Use whatever tools you have in life. And really look with your heart first, not your eyes. And get that haircut even if it's scary and it doesn't go well. It's just hair. It'll grow out again. I lived through the bang debacle. I can do this too. Because what's the worst thing? It'll be sucky, but hopefully there'll be no layers. We're going to talk about this. Hopefully there'll be no layers below right here. So then if it really sucks, then I just chop it off again. I like it at this length. There's a bit in here I don't like, but we'll be back to here no matter what. Like, build your chops on taking those risks. Take the little risks so that someday you can take the big risks, and take those risks in your relationships. Because even if it doesn't go well, that's telling you something about your relationship too. Yes, ma'am, it is. I love you dearly for being here. Remember, I'm not on Patreon a lot, but you can be a free Patreon membership. You join for free. You can follow people for free. And supporting me does really help the podcast. I recently had to upgrade my phone, and I had a nice little stockpile in my account because I was looking at cameras, and I just decided my phone was not doing right. I missed a call when my daughter was sick from school, and So now I have a better camera via phone. And it's to you people, and I appreciate that because it matters when you're on a fixed income. And I think it matters to anybody in this economy. So I love you all. See you next week. Do some of your yarn.